Jason Statham. No. All right.
No, what is that? I sound like Jack Sparrow.
Hello, everybody. Jason Statham.
No. There it is. What is up, Flick fans? Welcome back to my channel. Every weekend we're talking the brand new movie or TV show, and this weekend one of the new films is Wrath of Man. Brand new Jason Statham and Guy Ritchie film. I need you guys in the comments down below. Are you looking forward to this? And if you enjoy these reviews, drop your thumbs up. Let's get into it. So, the plot follows H, a cold and mysterious character working at a cash truck company responsible for moving hundreds of millions of dollars around Los Angeles each week. And I will admit, this is very separated from what we've seen Guy Ritchie do in the past. The tone here is much more brutal and dark than really, well, not anything, but most of what we have seen from him, especially lately. I love how he takes this concept, this story, kind of puts it in the hands of Jason Statham and says, you're going to take this and you're going to do what you do best, and you're going to carry this emotional burden, in terms of his character, on your shoulders and take us through this revenge-filled quest. And that's essentially what Wrath of Man is. And you start out really on a fantastic note. Guy Ritchie does something in the first scene alone, and he shows us the inside of this vehicle, and we get to witness this tragedy that they continue going back to throughout the movie for the first time. But he keeps the camera locked in one location, and it just kind of swivels around and shows what all of our characters are going through. And throughout the film, you're seeing different perspectives of this one thing that happens, not to spoil anything, but then you slowly start to learn who was involved with that attack, why they did it in the first place, and what the motivations of Jason Statham's character is. And all I will say is he is out for revenge. And anytime you get Jason Statham out for revenge, you know he's going to do some really cool stuff. Now, the predictable nature of what he's doing throughout the film, well, it could take it down a notch for some, and I understand why a lot of people will see this as a semi-convoluted story, because there is a lot going on. You take elements from a movie like Heat, and of course, what Guy Ritchie has done so well prior to this, and you're incorporating all of that, but the tone here is, like I said, a lot more brutal, a lot darker than what you're used to with his other movies. I mean, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., it's action-packed, but there's also this sense of fun to it, as well as Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. This film, it doesn't quite have that quirkiness, that sense of humor to it that comes along even with like a Sherlock Holmes, right? Our characters, and really the situation in general, they're all taking themselves much more serious than what you expect. So don't go into this expecting maybe your typical Guy Ritchie film. That being said, that's kind of a good thing, in my opinion. I like that he's straying away from what we know, but also keeping the stylistic sensibilities that makes for an entertaining film. See, just because our characters aren't having the best time doesn't mean that we aren't having the best time, and they keep that action intact. And it's a lot of violence that you would see in a film like The Town, because there is a heist, because there are different sanctions of individuals, each after each other, each on their own specific quest. And then we get into some of these side characters and their individual motivations. From a Holt McCallany, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. I love him from Mindhunter, but he's a really entertaining part of this movie. Josh Hartnett is in this film. Jeffrey Donovan, who really fits perfectly in a movie like this, like a Sicario 2, and seeing him pop up in some of these Liam Neeson films. I believe Scott Eastwood's character could have gotten a bit more meat to him. He serves a very important role in the third act, but there isn't quite that build-up that some of these other characters get, and their roles don't end up being as important. So I wish we would have spent a bit more time. And the movie also does this thing where we will go a bit further in the future, show where we are now, and then we'll flashback. Do it again, flashback. It's also divided into different parts. Each part has a name that is relevant to what happens, and I really like the way it was laid out. And I just had fun. I understand there are choppy and messy parts to it, and it does tend to drag on just a little bit in the second act. I do wish the movie was a tad bit shorter. They tried to fit a lot in terms of story, when really they could have kept it a bit more simplistic, just showing us Jason Statham's journey, what he had to go through, and what he's having to do now. But that being said, I liked that journey. I had a good time. The action is impressive. It almost felt like semi-dragged across concrete in terms of how they let some of these scenes go on for a little bit. Not thematically deep as that, but it's definitely a good time. And when I say action-packed, just know that there are numerous scenes that focus on the dialogue. Statham isn't doing as much killing here as he does in other films, but when he does it, it is impactful. So it's your classic revenge tale, but Guy Ritchie style allows this film to slightly stand out from the crowd. It's much more brutal than anticipated, and Jason Statham owns this role. A little long, but this one does a lot right. All of that being said, I'm actually going to go a 70%. Call this a guilty pleasure if you will, but I had a good time with it. I was entertained, and I just like seeing Jason Statham in a movie like this. A movie with a competent plot and a style that is a bit different from what you're going to see in any other movie this year. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you like this review, drop your thumbs up down below and let me know, are you seeing Wrath of Man in theaters this weekend? I believe that's the only place you can see it. It's the perfect film to watch on the big screen. All right, guys, I'll see you soon.